Who can forget the earthquake defying minarets of Sinan in Turkey, which did not even collapse even after an earthquake? Who can forget the New York of the 9th century, Qurtuba? Qurtuba was the New York of the 9th century. In the 9th century, Qurtuba had hundreds and thousands of houses, 200,000 houses. Houses had running water. Schools were free. There were dozens of libraries. The streets were paved and lit. Garbage was collected on the backs of donkeys and taken to special dumps outside the city walls. There were sewers, there was drainage in place. My friends, London and Paris, the capitals of the world at this moment in time, did not have these facilities for over 700 years after this. Your forefathers were designing surgical instruments, constructing hospitals. One Muslim alone designed over 200 surgical instruments, syringes, scalpels. And I assure you, modern instruments haven't changed much from his original designs. They were operating, treating cataracts. In the UK, cataracts are the most common cause of blindness in people over the age of 50. In the UK alone in 2005, 300,000 operations were undertaken. Allahu Akbar. Who would think that this was all made possible as a result of the foundation of your forefather, Imam Mawsili? This is why Dr. Donald Campbell, 20th century historian of Arabian medicine, he says, the European medical system is Arabian not only in origin, but also in structure. He says that the Arabs are the intellectual forebears of the Europeans. And who can deny this? The Qanun of Ibn Sina dominated the Western world for over 600 years. This was just one of his works. He composed over 276 works. Who can forget the work of Al-Razi? His book was the most highly respected and most frequently used medical textbook in the Western world for hundreds and hundreds of years. Who can forget Jabir ibn Hayyan? Unanimously agreed he was the founder of chemistry. My young friends, it was your forefather who devised and then perfected sublimation, amalgamation, crystallization, oxidation, evaporation, and you can keep on naming them one by one. Who can forget Al-Kindi, an all-round master? The names will keep on coming to mind. The excellence will keep on coming to mind. The virtues will keep on coming to mind. The contributions will keep on coming to mind. The achievement of your forefathers will keep on coming to mind. Indeed, these were the ummatis of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They elevated the name of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam wherever they went in the globe. Whether they were traveling in some desert or in the thickness of some jungle, all of a sudden, people now, when they saw these people, or because of what they were and because of what they had achieved, my friends, all of a sudden people now were interested in Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of a sudden people wanted to know, okay, who are these people? What are these Muslims? What do they believe in? Who is this man Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who is this being that they call Allah and for whom they prostrate 5 times a day? Because my friend, these believers were no ordinary believers. These believers didn't have an inferiority complex. These believers aimed high. For them, it was was-sabiqun as-sabiqun. It was all about being the foremost, because they knew those that are the foremost in this world, they will be the foremost in the next world, and they will be closest to Allah. And as a result, صَارِوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. They were not working day and night for themselves. They were working day and night towards the akhirah. And they were striving because they knew those that strive, their striving will be appreciated. And for this, they sacrificed everything they possessed. Their wives, their families, their children, their properties, their wealth, overcoming every obstacle, overcoming everything that came their way. A fire burned in their hearts which did not let them rest till they excelled, till they became world leaders, till they became the torch bearers, the beacons, the lighthouses, and the pioneers. Look at their determination, their zeal, their spirit, their eagerness when it came to any aspect of the deen. Any aspect of the deen. When it came to reciting the Quran, you know that book that's inside your house, that was supposed to be a means of guidance for all of us, that was supposed to bring us happiness in this world and the next world. You know that very book which is now covered with dust, and you open only in the month of Ramadan, and then you open and you look at it, and then you realize that you're struggling to read it, and then you close it. There were ummatis of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Such was their zeal and himmat that they would recite the entire Quran in 7 days. And they would number in their hundreds of thousands. For some even this was not enough. And they would recite the entire Quran in 3 days. And they would number their thousands. And there were people like you and me who had families, who had children, who would work and who would provide for their families and children. For some even this was not enough. And they would recite the entire Quran in 1 day. My friends, it gets better. There were ummatis of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the likes of Ali al-Azdi, who would come from Maghrib Salah. And after Maghrib Salah, he would open the book of Allah and he would begin, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. And he would not stand from that place in which he was sitting till he recited the entire Quran. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharril waswasil khannas, alladhi yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas min al-jinnati wan nas. And then there were the companions of Rasulullah who'd work a hard day and graft, whether it was in the fields or whether it was in the market. And then during the night they would come and they would stand before their Creator, the likes of Usman ibn Affan, the likes of Tamim Dari, the likes of Sa'id ibn Jubair, and they would say, Allahu Akbar, and they would begin, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, and they would not go inside ruku till they read the entire Quran. Entire Quran. And Allahu Akbar, and then you will find the odd few, the likes of Salim ibn Itar, the Qazi of Egypt in the reign of Sayyidina Muawiyah. With regards to him, it is written that he, in one night, he would recite the entire Quran 3 times. 3 times he would recite the entire Quran. You know, we live in the age of internet, in the age of logic. And there'll be probably people sitting here now and thinking, you know what, this guy's coming out with Jack and Norris. This is a load of rubbish. How can it be that a person can recite the entire Quran 3 times? You know why? Because you and I, we look upon ourselves. We struggle. When we open the book of Allah, we struggle to read a page. It takes about an hour just to read a page. And then all of a sudden the shaitan attacks us. We start yawning and we put the book away. By the grace of Allah, this book is such a miracle that even in this day and age, here before you, you will have Hafizis of the Quran who can recite the entire Quran in 6 hours. And there are 24 hours in the day. So easily, even in this day and age, you will find people that can recite the entire Quran 4 times in a day. And when they would leave this world, you would see the nur of the Quran on their faces and their chest. Abu Ja'far al-Qari, when he died, they saw a circle of light type thing on his chest. Everyone that was present at the time of his death, there was not one who doubted this, that this was the nur of the Quran on his heart. Abu Bakr ibn Ayyash, for 40 years of his life, my young friend, he recited the entire Quran every day. Every day. He's on his deathbed and his sister begins to cry. Why? Because now the angels of death will come. And after this it will be Munkar and Nakir. And the questions will be posed. Man Rabbuk, Man Dinuk, Man Hadh Rajul. And she's fearing for her brother. What will be his outcome? So confident he was at the time of his death. Allahu Akbar, this was the level of iman. That he turns around and says to his sister, why are you crying? There is no need for you to cry. Then he points to a corner in his house. He says, this is where your brother sat down. And he let go of his secret on his deathbed. This is where your brother sat down. And he finished the Quran 18,000 times in his lifetime. When it came to fasting, you know, today you and I as youngsters, we compete with one another. You know, if your friend's got a house with 3 bedrooms, you need to have a house with 5 bedrooms. You know, if your friend is driving a Mercedes, you want to probably drive, you know, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something. You know, in those days, they were competing with one another for the akhirah. Amr ibn Qais al-Mala'i, he fasted for 20 years. Dawood ibn Abi Hind came, and you know what? He fasted for 40 years of his life. And with such sincerity that his own family members did not even know that he used to fast. Why? Because he was a silk dealer. He would take his packed lunch from home every day